How do you create something that's different than everyone else? You do it differently than everyone else. Here at Copeland Creative, we specialize in telling captivating stories of wild people, wild things, and wild places. We don't just capture the story, we immerse ourselves in it. We are a diverse, multi-talented media house based in North Georgia, and if you have a story that needs told, we want to help you tell it.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Redneck Tech Podcast. Before we get started, here is a message from our folks over at Mike's Archery.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by mikesarchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit mikesarchery.com and get your gear now.
Alrighty, folks. So, once again, welcome back to the Redneck Tech Podcast. For those of y'all that don't know me, my name is Luke, and I'm on a podcast with...
How do you create...
Wrong direction there. There we go. I accidentally launched the commercial again. There we go. There's AJ. He's one of our newest employees. And so I don't know what number podcast this is, but we're just going to call it Shooting the Bull with the Young Gunz. We're just going to kind of chat it up for, 30, 45 minutes or something. And we made a post on Instagram earlier about some topics. And the first one that we got was just kind of how... What was it? It was something about hunting in the rut, like how
you change up in the rut.
Daggum, it launched it again. All right, there we go. Yeah, so changing up tactics, whitetail hunting in the rut, and which I thought would be a good one for us to kind of talk about because I am from Montgomery, Alabama, and AJ has grown up hunting here in North Georgia. Yeah, and so very, very different terrains, and so I figured that it would probably be something a little different, or a couple different perspectives. So AJ, we'll let you kind of kick this one off on what your approach is, how you would change things up whitetail hunting in the rut.
So during early season and stuff, I'll hunt more towards bedding areas and areas where you can't see super far, but where the deer are going to travel and stuff. And I feel like during the rut, I try to get in a stand where I can see forever. So if there's a deer chasing over here, I can see it, or over here. But in Georgia, I've never rattled in anything because I've rattled one time and I saw the deer look over at me and just take off. It was far away and it just...
Which that's crazy to me, dude. Because that's just, that's wild to me because even in Montgomery, it's kind of the same as far as early season, they're a lot more patternable. A lot of times they're coming to bait a lot more. They're kind of still on their summertime patterns or what have you. And then in the rut, typically for us, if you can find the does, basically.
That's what I'm doing. In the rut, I'm feeding the does. I'm not even caring if I get a buck on camera or feeding a buck. I'm mostly focusing on keeping the does at the corn, keeping the does at whatever minerals or whatever I'm putting out, because I just know if a doe's coming, then a buck will be with it eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. But about the rattling, that's something that I've rattled a ton, and a bunch. And I've hunted in Ohio and Kentucky, and still crack the horns together, if the rut's going. Even in Alabama, which I haven't been able to hunt here in Georgia for myself yet, but I don't know. I ain't scared to rattle, man. I enjoy it. I've had more positive experiences than I have negative rattling. And
Yeah.
Getting after it. I like to smell, be able to smell the bone in the air,
Well, I'm sure if I did it more, I'd have successful hunts doing it. I've done it that one time and that deer just hauled butt. So I just never went back to it. I do use a grunt tube a lot. And my favorite grunt's a tinning grunt or whatever. It's where you do it very fast, a lot of little grunts repeatedly. I've called in some deer doing that.
Yeah, I've done that a handful of times, or just kind of incorporated it into my grunt sequences, maybe throw in a couple bleats,
Yeah.
and stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, during the rut, that's kind of my biggest thing that changes is definitely how much calling I'm doing.
Yeah. I'll hunt scrapes too. If I have a good scrape that they're coming to.
Yeah.
I've done good hunting over scrapes. And I'll even, like the little Orbeez guns that shoot like the little water beads.
Yeah.
I've got like a pack of those before and like put them in like a water bottle and filled it up with like doe pee or buck urine or whatever and let those little beads absorb it. And then I'll go pour that in a scrape because it'll last a lot longer than like some of those drip sticks or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll just go pour those little Orbeez with like doe pee or buck urine or whatever. And I like those last a lot longer.
Yeah. I haven't ever done that. I've heard of some guys doing it. We use the like the drip ropes or whatever, the mock scrape ropes or whatever you want to call them. And it's kind of been really hit or miss as far as like one will be super on fire and then another one like almost won't get hit hardly at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I've seen some guys, they'll cut out the glands, like the tarsal glands,
and hang
like,
those up.
Hang those up.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that a handful of times, but I don't know. I've even heard of people like tying them to their boot
and walking in with them.
Yeah, and like dragging it behind them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you did rattle, were you using like actual antlers or like a black rack?
Black rack.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the black rack?
I like them. That's the grunt tube I use, and I mean,
oh really?
I love it. I mean, done everything I needed to do, from a doe bleat to a buck grunt. So I mean, it's all I could need in a call. But yeah, the rattling antlers, they sound good. Like they sound like a buck fight, like you'd want it to. It just, that deer just did not like it.
Yeah. I've never used a black rack personally. I've always just had rattling antlers, whether I've made them or been gifted them, which I was given some antlers by a hunting buddy of my dad's. And he said that they were specially tuned to call in 130-inch deer.
Yeah.
And I have 3 deer on the wall currently that are 130 plus, but none of them were with those antlers.
Yeah.
But
no, I think it all varies on deer too. Like if I had a more mature buck, then it'd be more like willing to want to fight or like come in to a call, opposed to like, I don't even remember how old the deer was. It was probably like a 3-year-old deer, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've never had a deer like run, or just like haul a tail away from rattling. I've definitely had them ignore it or just like not act like, just show no interest basically in it. But anyways, so for the rest of our time, I figured that we would just essentially tell some good hunting stories from the Young Gunz. And for those of y'all that don't know as well, I'm only 21. AJ is
19.
Yeah, 19. And so we're both, almost a decade younger than everybody else here in the office. So this is Brucey's time to shine for us to get to burn it down a little bit on a podcast. And so these don't have to be like filming stories. They can be personal hunting stories as well, which I'll go first just to kind of give you some time to think about it, which this one, it ties into filming. And it happened this past fall. And so I went up to Ohio, which was the first time I'd ever met Joe. And I was actually staying there at his house with his family. And we were supposed to be up in Ohio for I was supposed to be there, we'll say 7 days or something like that. And then I was going to go from Ohio and go down to Kentucky once I was done and film with Seek One, doing the New City Challenge for 5, 6, 7 days, whatever it was. And Joe had to leave after 4 days or whatever in Ohio, which we killed a nice buck there, got it on film, and got some other content for, Rage and Faradyne and Work Sharp and, a couple different companies. And basically I had been editing at Joe's house while Joe was not there. Joe was out filming something else, and I had 2 days to burn until I had to go to Kentucky. And I'm editing, and I was sitting in the kitchen, and this is in November, by the way. And so rut's kicking, and I look out the back door at Joe's, or sitting in Joe's kitchen, look out the back door, and he has 4, 5, 6 acres of woods back behind his house. And I can see there's deer running, and get up, I run over to the window real quick, and it's like $3 chasing a doe. And so I called Joe. I'm like, dude, like I have a tag because I went and hunted the bow opener, back in October, I think is when it is, or September. I went and hunted the Ohio opener and didn't, fill my tag. I was like, dude, I've got a tag. Do you mind if I go hop, in a tree back there? He's like, dude, go do it. Like, he didn't have any bait, no trail cameras, had no clue what was back there. All I knew is that there were deer back there, some bucks big enough that I could see them from, 100, 150 yards away, see that they had enough headgear to be worth going after. And so, dude, I grabbed my camera. I used my mirrorless. I didn't tote the FX6 with me, but I took a mirrorless, my bow, saddle, sticks, all this stuff, platform. And I was like, we're just going to go, figure it out basically. And so I went back in there, walked around a little bit and picked a tree and got up in it, got everything set up. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. And the way it's set up, I was basically in this big oak flat, and to my left, there was this like big creek that wrapped. And so it came from in front of me and wrapped around me, and tons of deer trails everywhere. And there was this thick crap out in front of me, probably 90 yards. And I could see deer running kind of in and out. And there was this buck that had this big spike. It was like one side was good. He was a mature deer. I mean, 4-ish years old. I didn't care. I was going to throttle him if I had a shot with my bow. And so he had one good side, a big spike, and a brow tine on the other side. And he was chasing does or whatever. I grunted at him and he stopped, and he kind of like, looked my direction, and it's wide open. And looking back, I should have taken a decoy with me. And so, I'm filming him. I'm like, dude, I'll throttle that sucker. And he goes back in the thick crap. And then I had just gotten done rattling and did like a grunt sequence or something. And it's probably like 4 o'clock, last hour and a half of light. And to my left, right off the edge of this creek, this little buck comes walking out, and I'm filming him. I'm looking through my viewfinder, and he whips his head around and like looks behind him. And I was like, oh, what's that? And I can see a body coming through all that thick crap. I was like, man, that looks like a better sized deer. And put my binoculars up, and it was like a holy crap moment. Like I could just see a frame was coming through the woods.
Yeah.
And I don't know how big this deer was. I mean, he's probably pushing 140s. He definitely would have been, one of my better deer, especially with a bow.
Yeah.
And this buck's coming, dude. I mean, he'll take 5 or 6 steps and he'll look, and then he'll take, another 5 or 6 steps, have his head down, and then he'll look. And the wind's hitting me in the face. Perfect wind, super pumped. And then I come to the realization, I was like, I've never shot my bow out of a saddle before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, dude, like this may not be good. But he's walking this trail. He's coming down the edge of this creek. I'm like, he's going to come to 20 yards right here, and I'm going to slam him. And in my head, man, I'd already planned out. I was like, man, who am I going to get to take pictures of me? I had picked out a spot on the wall for this deer. Like he was dead to rights in my mind. I was like, this is going to happen, and it's going to be great. And essentially he kept easing forward. And, I'm filming him. I'm trying to calm myself down a little bit because I'm jacked. Like I'm pumped up. And he gets to like 75 yards. And on the other side of this creek, there's a massive ag field. So it's like the bank of the creek goes up. It's a pretty good sized bank. And then it's this massive cornfield.
Yeah.
And big cornfield, and the farmer fires up a combine, and it goes like, and that buck, he's coming towards me, and he like stops on a dime, and he looks up, and he looks over towards that combine, and he bounds and takes like 3 hard bounds away and stops, and then just like eases on out of my life. And the issue is I had to leave the next day to go film Seek 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like I'm trying to think of ways. So I didn't end up seeing him the rest of that evening, and I'm eating dinner that night, and I'm like, man, I wonder if there's a way that I can like be sick or something and not have to go film Seek 1 tomorrow. Cause I was like, dude, like this is a Mac Daddy deer.
Yeah.
And dude, he had a bunch of tines that leaned in. Like he had great mass. He wasn't like super tall, and he was probably right around being even with the ears, maybe a little outside. But yeah, he had a bunch of points that leaned in, and he had double split brows.
Yeah.
On this like 4 acre little chunk back behind Joe's house. Oh, and that was another thing. I was like, dude, the story about this is going to be crazy. I was eating daggone breakfast and see these deer out there. And,
does Joe just not hunt it? Or
I know that they have hunted it in the past, but I think it was more of like, it's not a big chunk. And they have a family farm that they hunt that's, within 30 minutes. And then they have another place down south and bigger chunks of land that they focus more of their time on. And I guess they just hadn't gotten around to really, putting out cameras or anything.
Yeah.
At that point. But then later on in the season, Joe would text me, and that buck that had the big spike and the brow on that one side, he would send me pictures of that deer like laying by his kid's playhouse and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, man, this deer's gonna be a tank next year. And so I was talking to Caleb earlier today. I was like, man, we need to make a trip. Let me go for 5 days.
Yeah.
And try to get redemption on this deer, because dude, he will be a stud.
Yeah, that'd be nice if like in November we could all just say, all right, let's take this week. No one do anything, just hunt.
Yeah. And that's kind of a hard thing too with what we do is like,
there's no time in the fall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's our Super Bowl. Like that's, when everybody else wants to be in the woods. And so it's hard for us to, find the time to be able to sneak away to go get some personal hunts in like that. But again, I'm trying to, venture out into the suburban stuff, because that's the only way that's the best way for me to be able to hunt, because all the ground I grew up hunting isn't from here. It's all 4 hours away. And if I can land a couple suburban or local pieces, it's something where, okay, I can work half a day, go hop in a tree because I know this deer's daylighting,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my plan moving forward, which I think you said that you've tried a little bit of suburban stuff. I know that Caleb has tried to knock on some doors and hasn't had a whole lot of luck, but
yeah, I've definitely been wanting to get into it. Just, seeing how much success people have doing it. There's big deer in some neighborhoods and stuff that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. So. And especially like with all the saddle stuff, which I'm not a fan of filming out of a saddle. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to use a camera arm that's big enough and beefy enough to support the FX6 while hunting out of a saddle. So you almost have to like freehand it the whole time. I'm not a huge fan of filming out of a saddle, which it is what it is. But hunting out of a saddle,
being able to just put it anywhere and it's lightweight. It's just easy to set up and everything.
Yeah. Well, overall, the mobility of it is kind of, the biggest selling point for me, especially for the suburban stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that could be a turnoff for some people.
They don't want to stand in their backyard.
Right. They don't want it to look like, Redneckville out in their backyard with these tree stands where you can be more mobile with these saddles and their platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there's one of my stories. Let's hear a good story for you, which you actually have a success story from last year that you could tell.
My velvet deer?
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So that whole summer was like terrible. Like I'd have this deer on camera. I had him on camera all June at one spot. And then I actually had a cow. So this property is only like 15 acres, surrounded by farmland. And there's like a little pasture that's on it, already fenced in and everything. That'll come in later. But someone's cow escaped from their property, and I'd have it on camera all day, every day. I couldn't keep feed out for the
Just
deer.
one cow?
One cow, like a huge cow. It was pregnant. It was giant. And I'd have
It'll eat you out of house and home, dude. We have cows get out back in Montgomery, like a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And dude, they will turn your daggone bait site into a mud pit.
Yeah. So
in a heartbeat.
This was just one, but it was like every single day, all night. Well, I'd have the cow all day, and then at night I'd have a group of hogs come in. So like I couldn't keep any deer on this. So I hunted the hogs with a thermal. I killed a few of them and they stopped coming. But I still had the cow coming during the day, which is, where I'm going to kill the deer. So I eventually started baiting inside the little pasture, and there's like holes on the fence and stuff. So I went and like patched all the holes in this fence, on this barbed wire fence. And then I started baiting out in the field, like on the whole other side of the property. The cow made his way over there. So I got home from football one day, and it was like 6 o'clock, 6:30, and the cow was at my feed. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to catch this cow. So I drove out there. And
what was your plan going into it? You say you're going to catch him.
I didn't really have, I was just hoping to get him pinned in that, like
Okay.
So I had one, like, there was a post here, no, like, there was cut right there, like, where he can get in and out. And then barbed wire around the rest of it. So I was planning on him going in that one, and then I was going to run down so I can't pull up to the pasture. I have to, like, park on top of the hill and walk down because there's not a road cut to it. So my plan was just run with a spool of barbed wire and, like, patch it really quick while I chase him to the other side of the field. And I got down there, and that thing just stood and stared at me. Like, it was not scared of me at all. And I was like, dang, this thing's going to run right at me.
Did the Mexican standoff on you?
Oh, it did, like 15 yards. And it's like a big cow. And I got the barbed wire put up and everything. And then I had it, and then we had to cut a trail. Got a trailer. And the farmer, we found out whose cow it was. And we told him about it and, like, told him, come get his cow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want no part of it. So he's like, nope, y'all just take the cow. Y'all get it out of there however y'all want. So we got a free cow. We ended up trading it.
Really?
For a steer, and we raised a steer for meat. But anyway, so I got the cow and the hog's gone. And then the deer stopped showing up completely all of June and like half July. I moved all my cameras, tree stands, everything to the whole other side of the property. Out for a day, and the deer showed up in daylight the first day I had it out. And he daylight every single day till opening day, and then I ended up killing him that evening. He was the first deer I saw all the season. Didn't see a single thing that morning. And it was my first time like self-filming a hunt. And I was like messing with my camera because it was getting low light. So I was messing with all the lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
And as I flipped it off, I looked up and he was at like 15 yards. So I just flipped it on, hit record, and just picked up my bow and shot him.
That's awesome.
But
now, did you like watch this deer grow from nubs, or was it just kind of like you put it out and it was like,
No.
holy cow, like there's a good
no,
buck in here?
I put it out. I put my cameras out in like late May, and I had
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And yeah, he started off, it's just nubs. But he had a real weird rack. Like one side went straight up with 6 points on it, and the other side was just a normal 4-point side. But I mean, his mass was like 5 inches. It was like just, his whole beam was bladed. I mean, it was probably the coolest deer I've ever killed. First full velvet deer I've ever killed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, our deer shed their velvet so early back home in Montgomery that.
Well, he was the only, I had probably like 20 different buck between all my spots that I had, probably 20 different buck on camera. He was the only one that still had velvet.
Huh.
So I almost wonder if like he got hit by a car or something, and like
Yeah,
that's
what
why
I
he
was
grew
thinking.
that side real weird, and then he held his velvet real long.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never saw him before. Like he had such a unique rack. You would have known it from the year before.
Right.
But yeah, no, I never knew him before. So I'm wondering if he just got injured or something and caused him to grow weird and keep his velvet long.
Yeah. I don't know, man. These deer are tough critters,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
No, I shot him heart double lung, and he probably ran like 150 yards.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, so he toted it a pretty good ways.
Yeah. And it was through the thickest stuff you've ever seen.
It always is.
Yeah. No, it was bad.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, do you have another story that you were going to tell before I asked you about this one?
Yeah, well, I was hunting one deer, and it ended up scoring like 153 inches. My neighbor ended up killing it.
Mm.
And I had a deer. I never had him on camera before. The 150 was still alive, so I was like hesitant to shoot it. It was a mid 120s deer. And I mean, for around here, like anything above 120 is like a really good deer.
Yeah.
So this deer comes out, and I'm watching him for like 15, 20 minutes. And I noticed he had big antlers, but his body was like real, like he looked real frail and small.
Yeah.
So he walks closer, and I could see his whole bottom jaw was just like dangling pretty much. And I was the whole time I had him in front of me, I was texting my dad and being like, I don't know if I should shoot it. Like, it's a good deer, but I don't know if I should kill it. Never seen it before. And then I told him its jaw was broken. We both agreed that I should probably kill it. So I shot the deer, and we got up to it. He had an antler tine from another buck, broke off in his jaw.
Really?
And I pulled out. He had a whole pus sack on the bottom.
That's gnarly, dude.
Yeah, it was cool. And I got the mount back, and he has like a scar that runs up his whole throat where like the antler tine was poked through the bottom. So his whole
Wow.
jaw was like split in half. It was nasty. But,
Golly.
yeah, it ended up being, I don't know if it was my best deer, like second best deer, but it was a good deer.
Wow. That's gnarly. I had a deer years and years ago. I mean, I was probably like 11 or 12 years old that we called him Mr. Krabs, very original name, because he just had a crab claw
Yeah.
on one side. But it looked almost like his tongue was sticking out, just like
Mhm.
just, the
Yeah.
whole time. in all the trail camera pictures that we had of him, and he was a real mature buck, but wouldn't score much of anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looked like his tongue was sticking out, and then we finally started getting some daylight pictures, and we didn't know if his jaw was broke or what it was. And I ended up killing the deer, and it was like all of the skin was just peeled back. It was so I don't know if it got hung on a fence or he's fighting and caught a tine, and it just
That's nasty.
basically ripped it all back. But yeah, it was all like exposed bone and teeth through there. It was wild.
Yeah,
but he was a cool deer though.
It's crazy how like what can happen to them and they still just like shake it off pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Like they're pretty hardy animals, I feel like.
Yeah. Did you see that video? It may have been a couple years ago at this point, but it was viral on social media. It was a trail camera video, like daylight video
That
of
deer
a
with
buck.
his whole back strap
Yeah, like the
ripped
whole
off.
back strap was taken out.
Yeah, you could see his insides moving.
Yeah, that's crazy. Which
He'd have been hit by a car or something.
yeah, and I went through the comments and stuff because some people were like, "Oh, a bear got him," or whatever, or alluding to somebody probably shot the deer and hit him in no man's land or whatever. But I saw somebody say that it probably got caught in a combine. I guess it's got like the big teeth that are coming out to harvest corn or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and saying that
Yeah.
that rip or whatever looks like it could be something from that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
makes sense. The only way I'd see it being like from a shot is if it was like facing at somebody and they literally just skimmed it and the blade ripped it open the whole way.
I don't know that. I mean, dude, it was a chunk. I mean,
Oh yeah.
like a chunk was
Yeah,
taken.
I don't
Like
see how deer
chunk
could-
was taken out of that deer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. They're wild critters for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think of another cool story. I don't know how to check on here to see how long we've been talking for. 26 minutes. We've got enough time for probably one more story. Let's see. Let's go favorite hunting story. Okay, which I'll go first on this one since you've told two. All right. And one of my favorite hunting memories. Let's see. I don't know. It's definitely one from back home hunting with my dad, and we've doubled up a handful of times. Okay, yeah, I do know what story this is now. All right, so, my dad and I, we were a part of a hunt club that was like 2 miles from our house out in Pike Road, Alabama, and so the convenience was just always so awesome. And I was off of school for Christmas break, which the rut hit super, super late there. So no, I wasn't off for break. It was after Christmas break because it was like late January, like very tail end of the season. And anyways, the rut was finally kicking. And the way that we were hunting is I was hunting in a shooting house here, and then there was a finger of trees. Well, here, let me back up. Shooting house, and then in front of me is a food plot. To my left, there's a finger of trees that separates the field I'm hunting and the field that my dad's hunting. And so we're both in shooting houses.
Yeah.
And basically, my dad had texted me, and he's looking up the finger back behind me. So it's a finger in between the two of us, but I can't see it because it's way back that way. And he texted me. He's like, "Hey, there's some bucks chasing some does or whatever. Like, be ready." And then he texted me again. He was like, "Seems like a good deer. Get ready." Well, in my brain, I was like, "It's done. A dad thinks he's a good deer. Like, I'm smoking him." And I'm down on the gun, out the window. I'm looking at this finger of trees, and I see a doe come through. Or he had told me it was 2 does and a buck.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a buck chasing 2 does. And I see first doe. I'm like, all right, where's the second one? All right, there's the second one. And then I see the buck, and I'm like, man. And he finally stops. And I didn't even really like see what he had on his head, to be quite honest with you. I could see like a frame and saw he was like a good enough deer. He had good mass.
Yeah.
And I shot, and boom, I shoot, and I come up and I look, and I see 3 white tails, going through the woods. And I was like, dadgummit. I was like, no way I missed this deer. And I look back to where I was aiming, and there's a pine tree or a pine limb rather, that's like 10 feet in front of me, and it's like shaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, dude. I was like, I definitely squared up that pine limb.
Yeah.
And I was like, I forget what caliber gun I was shooting, but I was like, it thumps him. Like, he's not going to run with his tail up if
Yeah.
I've, hit him, period. So I had chalked it up as a miss. And I was like, dadgummit. I text my dad. I'm like, dude, I think I just missed. He's like, well, it's a rut. Like, stay positive, like, you'll be okay. It's like, all right, fine. And then keep on hunting. And I look in the field out in front of me probably 20 minutes later, and I see a body, and I can tell that it's got headgear. And I rifle out the window, and I'm like tracking this deer, trying to get him to stop so I can get a better look at him. He's not stopping, and the sun is coming up directly on the other side of the tree. So it's blowing out
Yeah.
my scope. Man, deer's not stopping. He comes across, back across, couldn't get a good, basically couldn't see him through my scope.
Yeah.
And I was like, dad gum, dude, text my dad again. I'm mad. I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe it. I just saw the buck again, cruising the food plot. And he's like, well, just stay positive, like there's still time, still the rut. Like, it's okay. It's like, all right, fine. Keep hunting. I think I'd seen a couple of those, maybe some small bucks, and it's getting to be about, 9:30. And that's between 9:30 is typically a magical time in the Alabama deer woods, at least.
Yeah.
And I look out the window to my left, which is down the lane where I had shot at the buck. And there's a shooter at like 60 yards. And he's standing in the wide open looking up at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I get my gun out the window, and I'm like, click. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I hadn't racked another one in there.
Yeah.
And that deer blows and he, bounds off in front of me. I text my dad. I'm like, dude, strike number 3. Like, I've jacked up this hunt today, man. I was like, it's been really, really bad. And I was like, I'm just ready to go home. Like, I've basically screwed up 3 different times. And he's like, well, let's sit tight. You might get another opportunity at one. And I'm all down in the dumps and I'm feeling bad about myself. And then the next thing I know, I hear it go boom, boom, coming from dad. And I'm like, all right, well, he just shot something.
Yeah.
And he calls me and he's like, I just had a deer, come down the finger on his side of it. And he's like, I shot once, and he was using a single shot 300 Win Mag. And my dad is notorious for not just shooting one time.
Yeah.
And so he can turn a single shot into a semi-automatic pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
he's quick on the little ejecto. But he said that he shot the deer and he like ran up the finger a little ways and then kind of stopped. And so he shot again, and deer continued up the finger. And so he's like, all right, well, let's get out. I know I hit this deer, at least on the second one. Let's get out. And he's like, again, my box, his box, finger of trees. And he shot the deer further up this way in that finger. And it ran up back behind me towards the front of the property. And so he was saying that he's going to circle to go and see if he can find the deer. And he told me to go walk to directly to the finger so that if the buck runs my direction, I'll be able to see him and we'll know where he's headed, basically. And so I make it to that finger of trees, which again is like straight. I walk basically right where I had shot at that first deer. And I'm walking over to it. And as I get closer, I'm like, that looks like a white belly, dude. And I get even closer and I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, did you shoot 2 deer? And he was like, no, I know, like I shot the buck and I watched him run and I shot him again. And I was like, well, then I think I just found my deer. He's like, what do you mean you found your deer? I'm like, there's a dead deer laying over here, dude. And I was like, what in the world just happened, man? And sure enough, so I killed the buck on the first shot.
Yeah.
And he was with 3 does instead of 2. And so seeing the 3 tails run away or whatever, I figured that, I had missed. And my dad ended up finding his deer. And so we doubled up that day, which is a really, really cool experience. And, again, one of my favorite hunting memories and just the emotional roller coaster that like 14-year-old Luke went on.
Yeah.
Cause dude, I was tore up, man. Cause we've been hunting hard and I hadn't killed a buck yet that year. And cause our season runs until February 10th down there.
Really?
Yeah. So it runs pretty late, but man, I was just like all kinds of tore up.
Yeah.
Thinking that, I had all these opportunities at these shooters and I had jacked all of them up. And then to like get to celebrate and, recover my dad's deer and the pictures of both of us and everything. It was just a super cool memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. That's the first time that we had doubled up on whitetails, which we doubled up with our bows a couple years after that, which is another cool story, but we'll save it maybe for part 2 of hunting stories with the Young Gunz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to do one more?
Yeah, we got time. We got time for one more. We're only at 35 minutes.
So mine would probably be like my most favorite would probably be this last turkey season when my girlfriend, I took her and she killed her first turkey because we were at her house and like I didn't care if it was a Jake or Longbeard or whatever because she's just never killed one. And
had she been with you like turkey hunting before this?
yeah, and we've never even heard one when she's gone with me. And then like she's been mad because we'll go, won't hear anything, and the next day I'll go by myself and I killed one.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets real upset about it. But we were at her house, weren't planning a turkey hunt or anything. And I looked out the window and they have like a farm, so they got a bunch of like fields and stuff. There's a group of 5 Jakes just out in the middle of one of these fields. And so we called her dad to try to get a shotgun. Her dad doesn't really like turkey hunting. He's just big into deer. So he didn't, he wasn't home, wouldn't answer the phone. So I ended up calling my mom and I got her to get my turkey shotgun and meet me halfway from my house to her house. So we drove, got that. And by the time we got back, they'd moved up the field probably 200 yards. And we probably walked a mile to circle around in front of them. And then we walked like straight uphill, like 300 yards. And my girlfriend, she was dying by the time we got there. But she ended up making like a 65 yard shot on the run.
Daggone.
And I was just,
That's a poke, dude.
oh yeah.
What shotgun was she using?
Single shot, 20 gauge, Stevens 301.
Dang.
Yeah, with an Indian Creek choke. So I got it this year and we killed 3 turkeys with it this year. I killed 2, she killed that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was on the run. There was all 5, and you just see their heads. So we were in tall grass, like all you could see was their heads. I was just like pick one out and shoot it. She killed it, and she got pretty tore up about that. But I thought that was definitely like my most enjoyable because like most of mine are just by myself. Like I don't really.
Yeah.
My family's not. They don't really hunt a lot. Like my dad's killed deer, but he stopped hunting whenever I really got into it a lot. But
yeah, being able to share that experience or like introduce somebody else to something that you have, such a deep passion for is always a really cool.
Yeah, and
a really cool thing.
She killed a good deer last year too with me. It was her second deer. She's killed one before, but it was probably her best deer.
Nice. Was that a deer that you had on camera, or was that just?
No, it was at her house. It was the same kind of thing. I was in the kitchen, and her dad keeps binoculars by like in every room. So I looked out the window, and there was 3 does and a like good buck, and I was like, "We gotta go shoot this." So he set up on it, and she shot it, dropped it. So
that's awesome.
It was like a 285-yard shot. But we had sandbags. We shot it from our house pretty much.
Oh yeah, so she posted up on that one.
Oh yeah,
that's wild. That's a good woman right there, man.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Good deal. Well, again, we're only at 38 minutes. That was a quick one. Do you have another quick one to tell? I know that people may be bored up at this point.
Yeah. So my dad, my dad's second day ever hunting. He killed like a really good deer. I don't know what it scores, 100-something inches. And I always growing up would see his deer mounted. It's the only deer that he has mounted because he's only a really big deer. Mm-hmm. And I always grew up like wanting to kill a deer. My goal is just kill a deer bigger than him pretty much.
Yeah.
And it probably took me 4 or 5 years hunting to kill one that big. This was the first year hunting by myself. And my cousin actually across the road from us, he had this big deer on camera. I asked him to hunt, but he hunts, so he wouldn't let me. And I like moved all my stuff from one side of the property to put it like pretty much on the property line. Never got that deer. And then my other neighbor got the deer on camera, started sending me pictures. So they were both hunting it. And then I'm like, I just feel defeated because I'm like, I know for sure they're going to kill the deer.
Yeah.
So I just moved all my cameras back because my first spot, I knew it was a good spot. And probably like a week or so after moving everything back, the deer started showing up on my camera. And I never had a single daylight picture. I had him. This was like the first year I started using cell cams too. I had him every night pretty much. I had him for probably 3 weeks. And the day I killed him, it was like first light, like a minute into legal shooting light. and I saw the outline of the deer walking up, and I couldn't tell what it was because he had real dark antlers. And he gets to my camera, and I like pulled my phone out in my pocket and was looking what deer it was, and I saw it was him. So I was just gonna sit there and just like wait till I could see to get a shot, because I could see him like in my scope, but like barely. And like I waited like 3 minutes, and the deer like he blew and jumped like 20 yards. I can just see his outline bouncing. So I aimed at him, and I could see him through the scope. So I put it where I thought I should and shot. And we got down and looked for him. I didn't find any blood for like 20 minutes because I saw a deer run up the hill.
Yeah.
And I just assumed it was him. So I walked up the hill for like 20 minutes, like on my hands and knees looking for blood, never saw it. And I like just felt sick. But our neighbor, he came over and was helping, and he walked down the hill. I guess there was just another deer that went up the hill because he walked down the hill, and there was just a big blood trail, and we walked all the way to him.
Nice.
But yeah, that was first big deer I killed, and it was a lot bigger than my dad. So
Heck yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Stories like that where, especially whenever you know it's a big deer, and if it's one that you've, put a lot of work into, and then it's like you have that opportunity, and if you don't find blood right off, or something like that, it always like,
Yeah, I walked like 5 yards from where I shot him, and I didn't find any blood, and I was already mad.
Yeah.
I was like, I definitely missed. But no, and being able to like send that to all my neighbors, being like, hey, killed this deer.
Yeah.
It felt pretty good.
It's always fun to get to show them off a little bit.
Yeah, but they were
For
all
sure.
happy about it. They didn't care.
Sweet.
Yep.
Well, with deer season up around the corner again, hoping that we'll get to slam at least one this year, and hopefully film a whole lot of deer dying and elk. I know I'm getting to go on an elk hunt here in a couple months at the end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I know that you're looking forward to potentially getting to go on an elk hunt.
Going on a goat and deer hunt.
Yeah, that's right. Which that'll be something cool. I think Caleb said that he can do whitetail or mule deer.
Yeah.
Which I haven't ever hunted mule deer, but I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's all different terrain. Definitely ain't ever hunted a pronghorn or a speed goat or whatever you want to call it. So that would be cool to get to chase one of those, and
For sure.
even just to be there to film it. So
Yeah.
got a lot of cool things coming up. Hopefully we'll be able to have a part 2 of hunting stories with the Young Gunz if the viewers like it. But I think that is a wrap for us. Thank you everybody for listening and putting up with us and looking at our ugly mugs. Hopefully by the time that we're Caleb's age, we'll be looking a little bit better, look a little more seasoned. But yeah, we're going to roll the outro. Thanks again for listening.